Life, in simple words, a gentle guide to living fully. Chapter 1. A quiet beginning. Life doesn't always start with a grand moment. More often it begins in silence. Not the kind of silence that feels empty, but the kind that makes you notice the hum of your refrigerator, the way the curtains sway when the window is open, and the sound of your own breathing. There's something about these quiet moments that invites you to think, not in a rushed, I need to figure this out right now kind of way, but in a slower, what do I really want my life to look like? I remember once I was sitting alone at a small cafe. The coffee was warm in my hands. Outside, people were walking quickly, some talking on their phones, some carrying bags, some just lost in thought. And I wondered, how many of them were truly present in that moment? How many of them were just moving because the world told them to keep moving? It hit me then that so much of life passes by unnoticed, not because it's unimportant, but because we're not paying attention. That day didn't change everything. It didn't make me quit my job, sell my things, and travel the world. But it planted a seed, a thought I kept returning to. What if life is less about chasing something far away and more about noticing what's already here? Chapter 2. Small things, big meaning. We're taught to look for meaning in big events, graduations, weddings, promotions, achievements. And yes, those moments matter. But the truth is, most of life happens in between those big events. In the mornings when the sun hits your face just right, in the way your pet greets you like you've been gone for years, even if it's just been 10 minutes. There's a street near my home that's lined with old trees. Their roots break through the pavement, and their branches reach out like they're trying to shake hands. I've walked down that street hundreds of times, but it was only when I slowed down that I noticed the smell of the leaves, the way the sunlight filtered through the branches, and the sound of the wind weaving between them. It made me realize life doesn't always tap you on the shoulder to say, this is important. Sometimes it whispers, and you have to be still enough to hear it. Chapter 3. The currency of time. Money can be earned, lost, and earned again. Time can only be spent once. I used to think my time was endless, that I could waste hours, days, even years, because there would always be more. But there's a strange thing about time. When you're young, it feels slow. When you're older, it speeds up. And you realize that every day is quietly slipping away. I once had a friend who worked constantly. She was always saying, once I finish this project, I'll take a break. Once I hit this goal, I'll slow down. But she never did. Years passed. And one day she told me she wished she had spent more time with her parents before they passed away. It wasn't the money she missed. It was the moments she could never get back. Since then, I've tried to ask myself before I agree to something, is this worth trading a piece of my life for? Because that's what time really is. Pieces of your life you choose to give away. Chapter 4. The myth of someday. We love the word someday. It's safe. It doesn't require action today. It allows us to dream without the discomfort of starting. But someday is slippery. It keeps moving forward as we move forward, until one day we realize we've run out of time to catch it. I used to tell myself, someday I'll learn to play the guitar. I said it for years. One day I realized that the guitar had been sitting in the corner for so long it was covered in dust. So I picked it up. My fingers hurt. I sounded terrible. But I started. And that was the difference. You don't have to do everything today, but you do have to begin. Because someday never arrives on its own. Chapter 5. The weight we carry. Everyone carries something. Maybe it's regret. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's a memory we wish we could rewrite. The problem is, we often carry it far longer than we need to. I once read a story about two monks. They were walking along a road when they came to a river. A woman stood there, unable to cross. One monk carried her across, set her down, and they continued walking. Hours later, the second monk said, "I can't believe you carried that woman. We're not supposed to touch women." The first monk replied, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" We do this all the time. We keep carrying things in our minds long after they've passed. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to be weighed down anymore. Chapter 6. The Beauty of Ordinary Days. We often wait for special occasions to feel alive. Birthdays, holidays, vacations. But I've learned that ordinary days are the ones that shape us the most. The mornings when you make coffee and watch it swirl. The evenings when you sit on the porch and listen to crickets. Life isn't a collection of highlights. It's a long, quiet film of small, unnoticed scenes. And when you learn to love those, you learn to love life itself. Chapter 7. Choosing your pace. The world moves fast, faster every year. It tells us to hustle, to stay busy, to always want more. And while ambition is good, it's also exhausting if you never pause. I've found that when I slow down, I see more. I feel more. I understand more. Your life is not a race. It's a walk. Walk it at the speed that lets you see the flowers, not just the finish line. Chapter 8. The Gift of Listening. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, but fewer people want to truly listen. Listening isn't just waiting for your turn to talk. It's putting yourself in someone else's shoes for a moment and really hearing what they mean, not just what they say. One of the kindest things you can do for someone is to give them your full attention. No phone in your hand, no distracted nodding, just being there. It doesn't cost anything, but it can change someone's day, sometimes even their life. Chapter 9. The Mirror We Avoid. It's easy to judge others, harder to judge ourselves, not in the sense of being harsh, but in the sense of being honest. Sometimes the things that frustrate us most in other people are the very things we haven't dealt with in ourselves. Patience, kindness, forgiveness. They start at home, inside your own heart. When you find yourself criticizing someone, ask, "What does this say about me?" The answer might be uncomfortable, but growth usually is. Chapter 10. Gratitude without conditions. It's easy to be grateful when everything is going right, harder when nothing seems to be. But gratitude isn't about ignoring the bad, it's about noticing the good, even in the middle of the bad. I remember being stuck in traffic one rainy evening. I was frustrated, tired from work, hungry, wishing I was already home. Then I noticed a man walking barefoot, carrying groceries in the rain. Suddenly, my car didn't feel so cramped. My seat didn't feel so uncomfortable. I realized what I was complaining about was someone else's blessing. Gratitude changes how you see everything. Chapter 11. The Courage to be Wrong. We like being right. It makes us feel smart, secure, respected. But being wrong is just as important, because every time you're wrong, you have a chance to learn something new. The problem is, pride gets in the way. It whispers, if you admit you're wrong, people will think less of you. But in reality, the opposite is true. Admitting you're wrong shows strength, because it means you value truth over ego. Chapter 12. The Seasons of Life. Life moves in seasons. Some are bright and full of growth. Some are cold and quiet. When we're in a hard season, we often think it will last forever. But just like winter always gives way to spring, pain eventually gives way to healing. The key is to accept each season for what it is, and trust that change will come. Chapter 13. Loving without owning. We often confuse love with control. We think loving someone means shaping them into what we want them to be. But real love is letting someone be fully themselves, even if that means they grow in a direction we didn't expect. It's holding their hand, not holding them back. Chapter 14. What You Leave Behind. We won't be remembered for the things we owned. We'll be remembered for the way we made people feel. When someone says your name years from now, they won't think of your car, your phone, or your clothes. They'll think of your laughter, your kindness, the times you showed up when it mattered. Every day, we are writing the story that others will tell about us. Make it a good one. Chapter 15. The Quiet Ending. Life doesn't always end with a grand finale. Sometimes it ends the way it began, quietly. But if along the way, you've noticed the small things, listened more than you spoke, loved without holding too tightly, then your life will have been full, no matter how simple it seemed. Because in the end, the measure of a good life isn't how much you had. It's how deeply you lived. Closing note to the listener. Thank you for spending this hour with me. If these words meant something to you, carry them into your own life and share them with someone who needs to hear them. The world is noisy, but there's always room for a quiet voice that speaks with honesty, kindness, and love.